Hello and welcome to How to Make More Sales with me, Anna Payne, supporting you to make more sales in a way that feels good for you and your clients. If you're ready for more sales, more impact, more success and more money on your terms, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Now, I see behind the scenes of lots of businesses and I'm pretty good at identifying the patterns, the things that make some founders fly, whilst others really struggle to create consistency and earn a decent income. And sadly, that difference has very little to do with how good they are at what they actually do. Most of the times. There are actually some really common patterns and pitfalls that I see again and again. So I thought for this episode 10, let's do a list updated for 2026 of the 10 most common mistakes that I see entrepreneurs under 100k per annum revenue making. Instead of just telling you all the mistakes to avoid, I'm also going to share exactly what I think you should do instead that will help you to hit your goals and create the success, impact and earnings that you really are so truly capable of. And to be honest, some of these might come across as harsh. You are used to me being kind and supportive. But if I don't call out some of these behaviors or practices, I can't help you to spot your own patterns. And that means that I'm not doing you a service. So take these, even if they feel a bit abrupt or a bit harsher than you might be used to hearing, take them as given with love and with the intention that they are heard in the right way that will help people identify where they might be keeping themselves stuck, where they may have become the bottleneck. Because when we understand where we are getting in our own way, where we are limiting our success and our opportunities, it then becomes much easier to make the necessary changes. Okay, let's get straight in. Number one, niching down too far before you've even started or really early on in your journey. Now, so many coaches will tell you, niche down, go niche. But in my experience, going too niche too soon can be a real hindrance and actually make you miss opportunities. So instead, start broader. Use your expertise and your knowledge and your existing network. Yes, be specific about who you are, what you do, and who you help. But don't be so niche that you limit your opportunities. So start broader, get some traction, get some income, get some wind in your sails, and then by all means niche down, specialize. But do that when you've already made some money and you are following the money and the opportunity in the market. Don't just randomly pick a really restrictive, narrow niche and make life harder for yourself from the start. I have seen so many startup businesses that are almost pre-revenue, and they are completely hamstrung by a niche. So start broad and then circle in naturally, guided by where the opportunities exist. That was mistake number one. Mistake two, trying to do too much too soon. So for example, selling multiple offers and being on every channel to be visible and find clients. So you're trying to do more than one thing really well in your marketing and in your delivery. And by doing that, you are instantly diluting your impact and overloading your capacity. Instead, start with one brilliant offer that you love, that works, that is compelling, and one main platform and client acquisition process. Master those things, one brilliant offer, one client acquisition process that works from one platform, and then sure, you'd get to decide, do you just scale those things further or do you add additional offers or additional platforms? But please don't do that until you have got that one product on one sales system that is really solid and is bringing in revenue. Otherwise, you're just stretching yourself thin and you're making life far harder for yourself than it needs to be. Okay, on to mistake number three, spending your time and your focus on anything that doesn't either get leads, turn leads into clients, or focus on giving the most incredible client experience. So please cut down your time on Canva, stop tweaking your website, stop trying to learn SEO, stop wondering if you need to bring in AI agents, stop rearranging your LinkedIn bio, joining more free 5-day challenges, or spending hours trying to write the perfect post. Because I'm sorry, but none of those are going to bring in clients and revenue quickly. So instead, focus on having more connections, more conversations, more talking about what you do, and more actually sharing your offer and asking people to buy it. It sounds so obvious, I know, but a lot of people are not doing this at all, or they're doing it but nowhere near it. Do not underestimate how often it is that you need to talk about what you do, how you help people, and what you want people to do next. For example, buy, book, inquire, apply, click here, etc. Okay, mistake 4, only posting business content. Honestly, sorry, but it is making your content really boring. People want to know you, and posting value content or teaching things, it just feels like homework. And honestly, nobody wants more work to do or more homework. Your content should make people feel moved in some way, activated, ready, seen, understood, aligned with you, feel possibility, maybe feel excited, feel hopeful, but feel something. Sure, give a bit of value or teach something, but don't just make that your entire on personality. Instead, I want you to think about how you can use your content to really connect, activate, generate conversations, build community and trust, and actually inspire action. And remember, social media. The clue is in the name. Mistake number 5, the way that they are using AI in the business. Now, this is twofold, really. The first one is an extension of mistake number 4. If you are using AI instead of your own voice in content, please stop. Honestly, I've tried to say this nicely. I am not going to sugarcoat this any longer. Most people can smell AI content a mile off, and it is such a turn off, and it is such a trust breaker. People need to know you. They need to like you and trust you. That is the whole point of you creating content. If you copy and paste generic, long AI slop that sounds robotic and sounds like every other person on the internet who does what you do, why on earth would they listen? Why would they pay attention? Why will they choose you? Your voice, your words, your unit is actually your edge in business. So please use it. I would far rather see your flawed imperfections, your typos, your short posts that mean something and make me feel something than just see a huge essay that's been churned out by ChatGPT and full of all the telltale language and fluff and filler and calmly and quietly, and it's not this and it's not that. Like, I just can't read it, and I won't read it. And life is busy. And I've talked before on this podcast about how on average, the average adult will see 10,000 marketing messages a day. If I'm saying that many marketing messages, I can guarantee you I am not going to spend time reading your 800-word ChatGPT post. So sorry, not sorry, but I feel very strongly about that. And I think that has only increased over time. And that is my view as a sales strategist and mentor, and also my view as a consumer who is reading potentially with the idea of maybe being your prospective customer. But secondly, again, when I'm talking about the way that you're using AI, I think over-reliance on AI for brainstorming and creation of new ideas. Like, yes, this absolutely can be helpful. And 100% I use AI. I use AI daily, multiple times in many ways. This is not anti-AI, but it's about people sometimes are using it in ways that I think are more of a hindrance and more harmful to the business than helpful. So what I've noticed recently is that I'm seeing some clients go round and round in circles or off on tangents, and they are eternally changing the plan and tinkering with the plan instead of executing the plan. And I can really see how that is so easy, because ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is will give you endless, yes, great idea. Yes, you could do this. Well, what about this? Yes, you could also do this. And I might do this. And yes, if you thought about this, it's just endless. And somebody has spent 30 days tinkering with the plan when they could have spent that 30 days executing the first plan, getting the data and the information from that, deciding what has worked, what moves forward, what doesn't get to move forward, and what are the next steps, and what is the next 30-day plan. And then we execute, and then we review. But this continual daily discourse and planning is really getting in the way of some people taking action. So instead, absolutely use AI. Use AI to automate things, to do the boring jobs. Use AI to help you to improve things. Use to brainstorm and to create ideas, but have boundaries around it as well. So what am I saying instead of these things? Number 1, create your own content. If you talk better than you write, which some of us do, I feel that it's easier for me to speak than it is to write. Do a video, do a podcast. Or the other thing that I do, I talk into the Notes app on my phone, and then I'll just get my AI to add punctuation without changing my tone, language, or style. And then that's easy content creation assisted by AI, but not driven by AI. And secondly, create a plan, use AI to interrogate the plan, to pick holes in your plan, to suggest how you can optimize your plan, to tell you anything that you haven't thought about, but then commit. Commit to execution, review and refine and repeat, rather than an endless planning cycle and just pages and pages of AI notes taking you round in circles instead of moving you forward. Okay, let's talk about mistake 6, not creating systems, asking for help or investing in yourself or your business. Now, at some point, your lack of proper systems or your inability to delegate will stop you making money. At the beginning, that might carry you forward. It gets you into action. It gets you starting to make money, which is amazing. But then at some point that changes. It stops you making money and it turns into a big bottleneck in your business. And likewise, do not wait until you're at breaking point or until something is wrong before you tackle the things that you don't know or aren't good at. Otherwise, you become the bottleneck in your business. And I say that with love because at certain points, I have fully been the bottleneck in my business, either because I haven't delegated, because I haven't put processes in place, or because I have a gap in my skills or knowledge that I haven't either A, invested in learning, or B, invested in somebody who has that skill and knowledge. So instead of making those mistakes, take some time to systemize, productize, build without overcomplicating, and automate things that can be automated easily. Create processes, create systems, get some help or support from somebody who is an expert where you have a knowledge gap or a time gap. Somebody who potentially has achieved what you want to achieve or is an expert in the area that you need support in. I think that is a really important lesson for us. At a certain point in our business, we have to stop bootstrapping and recognize that we cannot do everything and that actually we do need some systems and some processes. Okay, mistake number 7, delaying selling because you think you have to have everything built and ready and optimized and perfect before you can sell it. Or thinking that you have to grow a big audience and nurture them carefully over a long period of time before you can even mention your offer. None of that's true. And actually, when you think about this from the client perspective, if I have a problem, I'm problem aware, I'm solution focused, I want that problem to be solved, and I want it solved now, not in 6 months by the time that you might feel that you have sufficiently nurtured me, but actually in 6 months, I've probably found a different solution, a different provider, and I have moved on without ever knowing that you were nurturing me or that you could have helped me because you didn't tell me. So instead of delaying selling, think about proof and profit at every single stage and as soon as possible. So proof that people want your offer and that people will buy it. And profit because you monetize and pre-sell, you sell from the start. Share your concepts and ideas. See if they fly before you build them. And recognize that a lot of the time it is best to build with your clients. So pre-sell something, make sure that it's desirable, that you've positioned it correctly, that yes, people want that outcome and that result and that offer that you've packaged up. Pre-sell it. And then build it as you go with those clients in that journey, informing it as you build, as opposed to spending 2 or 3 years building something only to find out that you have built something that nobody wants to buy and you have invested X amount of time and money in doing so. Now, sadly, quite often I talk to people on discovery calls and they come to me because they've spent 2 years and they've had maybe a big payout or an inheritance or a redundancy payment, and they've invested all of that into building something they are passionate about and they love, and now they're ready to sell it. But they've done no market research. There's no interest. Nobody wants to buy it because they've built something that they wanted to sell. They've built a product-centric business. Build a client-centric business. Work out what your clients want and need, and then sell it to them. And the only way to work out if they want it and they are actually going to buy it is to offer it, proof and profit. You offer it, you pre-sell it, you get proof of concept, you make some money, and then you build it as you deliver it, and then you make it better as you go. So please do not delay selling to anybody. Mistake number 8. Underestimating how much selling you will have to do and how much work it takes to succeed. Now, business is hard work. That is the reality. It is always going to be hard work, especially in the startup phase, especially when you're building. So we might have been sold a myth of laptop life on the beach in Bali, making $1 million from 4 hours work a week. This is not my reality, and we don't get to opt out of sales either. If you run your own business, the most successful business owners are the ones who commit to doing the work and commit to becoming the best salesperson that they can be for their business. So instead of making that mistake, become really ruthlessly efficient with your time and your energy. And if you want the rewards from your business, recognize that you have to put in the work. And sure, work flexibly. I work very flexibly. I am forever juggling commitments, family commitments, things that I want to do in my life, days out, going to the beach because it's sunny, with work. But I know that if I do something in my work time that is not work, I don't just not do the work. I have to find the time back. I am actually recording this podcast on a Sunday morning because I have spent much of the last week being very involved with various things. My daughter is in her last year of primary school, and I've spent a lot of the last week being very involved in things at the school to do with her final year. And what a gift, what a joy to be able to be so involved and to be so present, and to remember that that really is one of the driving forces for me setting up that business in the first place. But I don't just not do the work. I've had to do early mornings, I've had to do some evening stuff, and now here I am on a Sunday morning recording a podcast because the work is still there. So I just need to find the time back to do it in somewhere else in the week. So flexibility, freedom and choice are really important to most of us as entrepreneurs. They certainly mean a lot to me, but that is not the absence of work. It is just the freedom of choice of when and where and how we do the work. Okay, on to our next mistake. Mistake number 9, obsessing over audience growth, visibility and new leads while completely ignoring those leads that already exist in your business. This is such a common mistake, but instead I want you to recognize that your next 10 clients or your next 10K is already somewhere in your phone. Embrace the relationships that you have and start where you have connections. Follow up with people, connect with people, use your network and focus on these long-term relationships, being a person of value and client lifetime value. New relationships and referrals, of course, will start to come in naturally. And sure, grow your audience beyond this, add new connections, warm up new relationships, but only if you're prepared to also commit to then selling to these people and following up with these people. Otherwise, we are just growing an army of connections and followers who never buy from us. It makes no sense. Okay, mistake number 10. Overcomplicating things. When you are building to your first 100K, even your first 250 or 300K per annum or beyond, I do not think you need layers of complexity in your business. But there are so many endless things that you can learn and so many new strategies, new tactics, and so many online experts who will make a lot of money from telling you that you need their particular strategy. So it's really easy. And I see that all the time. People who are early revenue, like people who are early on in business, people who are sporadic in terms of client flow and cash flow, people who are nowhere near the first 6 figures, but they're chasing scaling strategies when actually what they really need is that leanness, efficiency and simplicity of startup. So please stop making things so complicated and difficult for yourself and instead recognize that the simpler your process and model is, the leaner your money-making machine is, the more clients you will find and the more money you will make more quickly. And then sure, once you're starting to make regular money and you can see it growing and you're feeling good about that, of course, think about whether you want to automate things, streamline things, you want to add ads, you want to scale up, you want to implement some of these sexy scaling strategies. But for most of us, we're doing it without really understanding why. And it is a big mistake to be using scaling strategies when actually what you need is startup strategies. Okay, right. I have given a bonus one because I honestly feel that this is so important to add and I couldn't quite shoehorn it in with any of the other mistakes. But here we go. Number 11, stopping sales and marketing activity when you get busy with client work and delivery. Please do not do this because I promise you will pay the price further down the line when your current client work comes to a natural end and your project's finished and you've got no pipeline, you've got no clients, no revenue and no leads. So you have to go into crazy emergency marketing activity. Really stressful. It creates roller coaster revenue, fear, uncertainty, and total lack of consistency. It makes it really hard for you to build momentum. Instead, do sales first every day. 30 minutes of sales activity. Find a way that you can do it even on your busiest days, focusing on that 30 minutes of income generating tasks first thing in the day. And I promise you, when you get in the habit of that, it will not impact your client delivery. You find a way to work it in. You find a way to do what you need to do, but focusing on the really important income generating tasks that keep that pipeline building in your business. It's how you create consistency, it's how you build momentum, and it's how you make sure that revenue continues to flow into your business. All right, that was the 10 or 11 most common mistakes that I see blocking online business owners from hitting six figures. Some of these mistakes you might be at six figures, but you're still making some of these mistakes and they're blocking you getting to your next level of growth. I always want to give you action focused podcasts, things that you can actually put into practice. So if you had to pick one of these mistakes, which one feels like, oh yeah, I am doing that? Like, I'm really good at creating additional layers of complexity for myself. And I'm also really good sometimes at being the bottleneck in my own business because I try and do everything myself. If you recognize yourself in some of these patterns, in some of these mistakes, what one thing can you do today to try and change that? And then can you listen to this again in a month and work out, what else can I work on? What else can I change? What have I optimized? Where else actually have I still got an opportunity to improve and optimize things? If you've enjoyed the podcast today, I hope you have found it helpful and enlightening. And as I say, some of these might sound like I've been on a bit of a rant. They might sound a bit harsher and a bit more direct than you are used to hearing me. But I really believe that whether you're my client or whether you're my podcast listener, if I don't tell you the truth and if I don't speak as I see things, I am absolutely doing you a disservice. I'm not here to tell you that everything is great and everything is working and just give it time or have the right mindset. I'm trying to give you really practical insights to help you create that breakthrough to your next level of success. So take it the way it's intended, with love, maybe a little bit tongue in cheek, because some of these things we all know that we do them, but take it with love, take action on the bits that you know you need to take action on. And please come on over to my website, annapayne.online/everything. You will find free resources that will help you understand how you can move forward. Thank you for joining me today, and I will look forward to chatting with you in the next episode.